Once again, I wish you a happy Sunday. Also those who watch through the internet. Isn't this paragraph of the Bhagavad Gita beautiful? It makes us understand that God is not a judge, that He is infinitely patient with all of us. Otherwise, this universe wouldn't even exist anymore. I would like to begin by rethinking this enormous promise of the scriptures of the masters. They always say, you can reach a high state of consciousness called bliss. For many people it can mean something different, many different things. If in our physical existence we perceive 12 volts, then bliss might be 12 million volts. And in the center of our body, in the Sushumna, we can experience this infinite bliss, even now, here. If we are right now identified with our body, maybe a little bit also beyond our body, then we just have to switch our perception, because the ultimate reality is not our little body, but is the universe and even beyond this universe. It is a light, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, 1,000 suns, that does not blind you though. It is full of sweetness and gives you a deep sense of well-being. This is the great promise of all saints. Everyone can reach that light, that bliss, even in this lifetime. We are, in truth, that. This is our true nature. All the rest is only an illusion. We just mistake it as reality of personality, body. And so we got caught up in this world of duality, which in reality is very small. A short part of Yogananda's poem Samadhi. Yogananda recommended that we would learn this poem by heart to feel the inner faith and trust of what we are in truth. You are me. I am you. Knowing, knower, known as one. Eternal, ever new peace. Enjoyable beyond imagination of expectancies. not a mental concept or a stupor without return, but I am aware beyond my mortal form into the infinity of eternity, where I, the little ego, float in the cosmic sea and contemplate the tiny ego floating in me, where I, the cosmic sea, contemplate the little ego floating in me. When I was young, let's say 18, I read the autobiography of a yogi. I said, that's for me.
Capitava anche in stesso momento quando ho letto l'autobiografia di un yogi, veniva un kriya yogi indiano e a Monaco.
And around that time there was an Indian yogi who visited Munich, and that yogi taught me Kriya Yoga, and I was sure that I would immediately make it into Samadhi. But I have to admit that unfortunately it wasn't that easy. It was the enthusiasm of youth. But whenever I read again the stories of the autobiography about when he came to the West, that era, which you can also see in the movie Awake, people didn't know anything about yoga, karma, and so on. He spoke about high levels of consciousness. He didn't make any compromises, even though he tried to explain everything to the people where they were at, but he stuck faithfully to the method of yoga as it needs to be practiced. And this teaching of yoga is important for every aspect of life, whether it's in marriage or other so-called realities of this world.
Quando oggi ci guardiamo intorno, anche nel grande movimento di yoga che è esploso negli ultimi anni in tutto il mondo, che sinceramente in gran parte è una ginnastica un pochino raffinata, però tante persone che io conosco, anche
many people that I know criticize you,
però credo che tutto va bene.
I think there are many paths of yoga for everyone. It expresses in a different way. Even if it's a superficial way of yoga, it might take us to a book or some other teaching that will deepen our understanding. So I think that everything is for everyone, and everyone finds the message that is right for him. It is so easy to forget what we really want to attain, the infinite divine love. All too easily we are distracted by all the spiritual products in the New Age market that promise us some desire. People go everywhere, losing themselves in many teachings to play around. And even the ancient Indian teachings give us many products like mantras to beat your enemy or tricks to become rich. So also rishis of ancient times played around with these powers. Once somebody asked Swami Kriyananda, why have the rishis taught about that when the true purpose is to find liberation? And Swami's response was very practical. He said, people will always seek satisfaction of their desires. Why not seek God on the way, and with time we will deepen our understanding and focus only on God. Everyone is on the search, and we are often distracted by many byways. Somebody criticized us. You at Ananda, you're really meaning it. Huh? You're serious. You really want to overcome the ego. That's one reason why Ananda is not always popular, because we're serious, that we leave behind us the beliefs of what we thought we were, the ego, about our body, and all these opinions, all that the mind thinks. At a certain point, gradually, it doesn't happen suddenly, we go beyond these identifications. Very few people want only that, but if we want to attain that promise that the saints and masters spoke about, then we will have to take the step beyond the ego. We have to be honest with ourselves, look into the mirror, and be determined to go beyond it. Life will confront us. It will give us some pleasant experience and might distract us almost infinitely, but not totally infinitely, because sooner or later we reach the promised destiny of who we are in truth on the highest level, that we do not seek happiness in superficial ways, but we only want to find true bliss and ecstasy. But we have to choose that every second. We don't need to beat ourselves up. We go forward. This is also the message of Swami. Don't feel sorry about yourself. Okay, I made a mistake. Focus on the future and do the best in the future. Even if you will do many mistakes, but out of them you will learn and gradually take many more correct steps. There's a famous story that many of you might know of the great yogi Milarepa.
Conoscete la storia di Milarepa? Ma Milarepa che era un ragazzo
Milarepa,
e la
as a
sua
young
famiglia è
man,
stato
had a traumatic experience
maltrattato dai vicini,
because his
lavoro
family
fatto,
was
terreno, eccetera.
ruined by the neighbors,
Famiglia in povertà, eccetera.
so the family ended up in poverty. And the mother of Milarepa asked her son to take revenge. So he vowed to ruin his neighbors with black magic. He learned the tricks of black magic, and he ruined the harvest of his neighbors, and in the end all of his neighbors died. So after he had fulfilled the wish of his mother, he realized what he had done, and he didn't want to continue on the path of black magic anymore. He found his master in Marpa, and his master Marpa helped him to dissolve his karma. His master asked Milarepa to build a house in one place. When he had finally built that house, Marpa said, "Oh no, I must have been drunk. Build it somewhere else." And it went on like this for several times, I think 9 times, until Milarepa had freed his karma in the process of hard labor for his master. And then he learned the meditation techniques to find freedom. He received initiation, went to a cave and meditated for a long time. He ate hardly anything. The legend says that he ate only nettles and turned green because that was his only diet. And his master gave him only a short scripture. And Marpa said, you are only allowed to open that in a case of emergency, when you really need help. Milarepa reached a high level of meditation on the edge of the Absolute, but he was not able to merge into the Absolute for a long time. And after decades, he decided that was a serious enough problem, and he read this short scripture. It said, "The secret is balance." That was all that was written. But Milarepa understood. So he began to eat again fairly normally, and also in his way how he was treating his body, and the famous Kundalini began to rise even into the higher centers, and he went into Samadhi and became one of the greatest yogis of Tibet. So also he had committed many sins, used black magic, killed many people. But if he had hope, we certainly do too. In the end, there is nobody condemning us except we condemn ourselves.
Il stile di vita che Swami Yogananda in verità come primo ha portato non solo l'insegnamento della meditazione.
Swami Ananda didn't only teach meditation, but also a new lifestyle. with always the goal of self-realization. But
verso questo scopo e utilizzando anche le benedizioni, anche i poteri che vengono attraverso queste pratiche per
we
trasformare
also
la nostra vita
are
in lungo tempo anche trasformare
encouraged
la società che comporta.
to transform our lives and, as an example, be helpful to society.
Ha lasciato qui il suo corpo 3 anni fa, quasi sono vicino alla sua data di morte. Tutta la sua vita, anche in comunità di Ananda,
3 years ago, Swami left his body here.
Una dimostrazione in verità, oppure un laboratorio di cercare.
But to the last moment, he encouraged us to include high principles in all areas of life, whether it be education, interhuman relationships, art, and so on, to create a new form of living together, a new form of society based on these principles. But we always begin where we're at, without being too presumptuous about high ideals that are not yet attainable for us. We need to start with who we are, where we are at, and take one step after the other toward these high goals. There's another dear story about being sorry about the past. This is about Ram Prasad, a yogi of the 18th century. He was a great devotee of Divine Mother. He chanted a lot to Kali. Yogananda loved to sing his chants. It once happened to Ram Prasad that while he was doing his orthodox Hindu rites, going down to the Ganges and doing his ceremonies, and he, on the way there, he met a beautiful lady, and she said, "Ram Prasad, would you sing for me?" And he said, "No, I don't have time. I first have to do my rituals in the Ganges." So he did his rituals and came back, and this lady was not there anymore when he came out. And he said, "Oh, that was Divine Mother." And I preferred to do my rituals instead of singing for her. He had a great remorse. In English, I think the word is regrets. And he continued to pray day and night until a beautiful light appeared. And Divine Mother said, "I came to you in Varanasi to listen to your song, and you preferred something else." And she disappeared. And so he felt even worse. If she comes to me, he wasn't in Varanasi. He had to walk to Varanasi, from Calcutta to Varanasi. He walked many, many days. After a few days, he was very tired on the way. But he meditated, as usual, And again this great big light appeared of the Divine Mother and said, "See, you don't have to come to Varanasi. I'm everywhere. I'm omnipresent. I'm also in you." And he was completely happy and was immersed in bliss. In the end, it was just a game that Divine Mother played with him. When we go deep into the relationship with God, then it is, like Yogananda called it, a divine romance, where God plays a little bit with us. He does also some strange jokes with us. I remember another story about Ram Prasad. He was a poet, an artist, and a singer, but he also had to survive somehow. So he was hired in an office to do accounting. Accounting is not a very artistic activity. Well, he tried, but his colleagues saw that he wrote words on the ledger. You don't have to write words, you have to write numbers. And they looked. He wrote poetry of his songs to the Divine Mother. So they called the boss, and he saw this. He was a very good boss, obviously, because he was rapt by the bliss that was expressed in that poetry, that he sent him on pay home so that he could continue his poetry. Another game of Divine Mother. So Ram Prasad left behind many beautiful poems and songs that are especially famous in Bengal as an expression of Bhakti Yoga.
Allora, è talmente bellissimo questo brano della Bhagavad Gita.
This paragraph of the Bhagavad Gita is very beautiful. If we only succeed a little bit in offering ourselves to God, we will touch on that state beyond duality. Even if we cannot stay always in the sublime state of awareness, we can practice yoga in many ways. That we adore, worship God in everything, that we pray to Him. In that relationship between I and you, that there is this separation. As long as we cannot stay in the perfect union, non-duality, we just express our love to the Divine Beloved. He doesn't want anything else from us. But even if we cannot express very well our devotion, then let's think of all the desires that take us here and there. We still don't need to worry. It doesn't matter. If we're too restless, let's do some things, good things. And while we act, let's think of the Divine. Offer what we do to God with the attitude of Nishkam Karma, offering it without being attached. It is an inner offering to let go. And enjoy the beauty of the present moment. And when you fall out of that beauty, it's okay too. Because even if we cannot succeed in that, Krishna says, offer your failure. It doesn't matter. It is good enough if we give ourselves also in the sense of failure. We need to have patience and yet apply ourselves. If we're honest, even after many years on the spiritual path, there are always many desires, many obstacles that keep us bound. But if gradually we increase our desire for the divine, that the divine is more predominant. And that's what Swami says in this reading from Rays of the One Light. The desire, the energy of the heart creates our reality. Chitta, the feeling of the heart, is our perception of reality. We do not get there easily just by doing affirmations. But if we connect with the center of our being deeply, there is already the bliss hidden. It is what we really want. In truth, we don't want anything else. And God will come to us.